What is going on, everyone? We are back in our Bears franchise in Madden 17, and it is that time of the season, midway point, and we are here with a mid-season update as we get ready to play our Week 9 game against the Packers. Now, we are going to go through the normal things we go through, standing, stats, that sort of thing, scouting. Take our first look at scouting, but first, the stats. Mike Glennon, 1,000 yards, almost 1,100 yards, but 7 touchdowns, 10 interceptions from Mike Glennon. Not good numbers for him, but thankfully, Dudley is back. 600 yards, 6 touchdowns, just 1 interception for him, so hopefully he can keep that up the remainder of the season because we should be in pretty good shape. Running game, Melvin Gordon, 777 yards to go along with 7 touchdowns. He's just under 100 yards per game. Came out of the gate really strong and has taken a step back here the last couple weeks. Tyreek Hill, 38 catches to lead the team, 513 yards, 5 touchdowns. Alshon Jeffrey with 5 touchdowns as well. Happy to see Jeffrey having a good year. Hill, I expect a little bit more out of, so we're going to try and continue to feed the ball to him a little bit more as he tries to replicate his very good season from last year. Melvin Gordon with 3 touchdowns. Braverman not with a super great year, but still he's steady as that third wide receiver. On defense, it's Carson and Greg tied with the lead at 56 tackles. It is 10 tackles for loss for Pernell McPhee, 9 for Voorhees Greg. On the sack side of it, actually Henry Lacy, the rookie, with 8, third on the team. He's having a very, very good year, and right behind them actually at 45 tackles as well. Sacks, it's going to be 8.5 for the rookie Kevin Alonso. This man having himself quite the first campaign. 7 for Rudd, 6 for McPhee, and then quite a few guys with sacks so far in the season. And then interceptions, not a lot for us here. Kyle Fuller's going to have 2. Lacy, Gaines, Salisbury, and Potter, the rookie, are going to have 1 apiece. Now looking around the league, Dylan Craig is leading the league in yards, 23-36, just in front of Luck and Bortles. Dax Prescott up there as well. And it's going to be the leader with touchdowns, 18 for Dax Prescott, and only 4 interceptions, so a very, very good year for him so far. Tom Zach, the rookie for the Saints, with 17, and then interceptions, 14 for Alex Smith, 11 for Blaine Gabbert, but there is Mike Glennon with 10, and that is not the list you want to be at the top of. Melvin Gordon at the top of the running back list, 777 yards rushing, so even though he has slowed down as of late, he still is at the top with the league lead, 5.6 yards per carry, 7 touchdowns for him as well. Only 3 guys over 700 yards, but it is Bell and Elliott, so we have some competition. Elliott is going to be the leader for touchdowns with 10. Gordon tied with Beason, and Jeremy Langford. There is a Jeremy Langford sighting, 7 touchdowns for him as a member of the Falcons. Now moving on to wide receivers, Dez Bryant, 48 for 694, 4 touchdowns, a very nice start of the season for him. Julian Edelman as well. T.Y. Hilton, we got a few guys. Dorial Green Beckham over 600 yards for the Lions. Receiving touchdowns, it's 8 for Vincent Dantzler, 7 for a bunch of guys. And then we had a couple guys there with 5. On defense, it's Asper with 73 tackles to lead the league. It's going to be 13 tackles for loss for a Colts. And obviously, as we know, the little bit of a glitch here when looking at defensive stats for the NFL. So we're not going to see some of the guys that we should see. And then interceptions, it is going to be 5 apiece for 3 guys, Wagner, Peters, and Kuechly, as a couple linebackers there leading the league in interceptions. Now on to the awards. Dak Prescott, the early leader for MVP. No surprise there. Melvin Gordon sitting in 4th. Nice to see him up towards the top of that list, and we'll see if we can do a little bit better than that. He is first in Offensive Player of the Year for the NFC, though, ahead of Prescott and Elliott, so that will be a competition, I'm sure, for the rest of the season. Defensive Player of the Year, Robert Quinn is currently the leader. I don't think we have anybody on that list. Rookie of the Year, we got Tom Zach there in first. We're not going to have anyone on that list, but Kevin Alonso first for Defensive Rookie of the Year, as that is no surprise, as he has, very, very good first half of the season. We'll see if he can keep that up, as Lacy is going to be 5th as well on that list. Prescott leading the best QB. We will probably not have a QB. Maybe Dudley can sneak in here towards the end of the season, but he's not going to be winning that award this year. Now, interesting, it's Elliott in first for best running back, while Gordon was first for Offensive Player of the Year, so we'll have to see how that turns out. Best wide receiver, Tyreek Hill and Alshon Jeffrey, 4th and 5th. Nice to see 2 guys there on that list. Best lineman going to be taken by the entire Cowboys offensive line. We do have a couple guys there in 7th and 8th place. Best defensive lineman, we are going to have Kevin Alonso again showing up there in 4th. Good to see the rookie there, hanging right there with Morgan, Donald Quinn, and Robert Ayers. Best linebacker, there is Pernell McPhee in 5th. So we're seeing a lot of Bears here. Nice to see a lot of the guys showing up in these lists. And then best DB, nothing's going to be there. And Lambeau going to be 4th in the best kicker award. So not bad showing. We'll see, though. A lot of time left to play in the season, so we'll see where we end up. We're 22nd in offensive yards, 1st in defensive yards, which is very, very nice to see. Defense playing very good, 13th in points scored, and then we are going to be 2nd in points allowed. So keeping the points off the board, keeping the yards off the field, but obviously the offense needs to pick up a little bit. Now the standings, it's the Bengals in first in the AFC North at 5-2, ahead of the Steelers, Ravens, and Browns at 2-5. It's Jaguars 4-2-1 ahead of the Titans and Colts. Texans bring up the rear there at 3-4 in the AFC South. AFC East, it's a logjam. 4-4 for the Patriots, but the Jets and the Dolphins are 3-4, and the Bills are 2-4-1. Anybody's game there in the AFC East. AFC West, it's the Raiders at 5-3 ahead of the Chiefs at 4-4. Chargers 2-4-1. A lot of ties so far in this first half of the season, and the Broncos in last at 2-5. Moving over now to the NFC North, it is the Bears tied with the Vikings at 5-3. As tumultuous as the first half of the season was, it's nice to see us sitting there in first place. Lions, 5 games lost in a row at 2-6 now, so they've already fallen behind a little bit. Falcons undefeated for the NFC South, 7-0. Panthers are 5-2. Saints 4-3, and the Buccaneers are 2-5. In the NFC East, it is going to be the Cowboys at 6-1, winners of 6 in a row. Redskins are 3-4. Giants 3-5, and the Eagles are at 2-5. The Giants have lost 4 games in a row. Redskins have lost 3 games in a row, so the Cowboys have really taken command of that NFC East. And then in the West, it's the Cardinals at 5-2, Rams at 4-4, Seahawks at 3-4, and the 49ers are 0-7 to start the season. So not a good first half of the year for them. Obviously, now looking at scouting in this class, again, as last year's was, doesn't really seem to be too great. I've scouted some QBs, want to maybe try and get a better backup for next year. We haven't scouted any halfbacks, no fullbacks. Wide receiver, again this year, does not seem to be a deep class, or at least not a good one, as you can see how many guys there have their projected as under what it originally was. Tight end just got 1 guy, but he's not looking too good. A lot of left tackles in the first round. I've tried to grab as many as I can, and so far really only 1 there on the watch list. No left guard so far, no centers, actually we've got a couple right guards here and a couple good options as we maybe try and fill in some depth in the offseason, and then a couple right tackles, but only 1 so far looking halfway decent. Now onto the defense and the defensive line. Nothing really doing here. 2 guys, they're both undraftable, no right ends, and then D-tackle, 2 in the second round, but they're both showing as 5th rounders, so we're going to ignore them. 1 outside linebacker on the left side, he's no good. Didn't scout any middle linebackers, and then 1 right side linebacker, but he's really not looking too great for a 5th rounder. I've gone to 2 corners, although corner probably for the first time, not really a position of need. Free safety, I got 1 in the first round looking pretty good. Another one there, not looking quite as good, and then a strong safety not turning out so well. So the watch list currently not very deep, not very long. We got a long ways to go when it comes to scouting. But again, I mean, last year's class was not really great. I think the top overall player, was it Kevin Alonso? I think it was someone we drafted, and he wasn't even over an 80, so last year's class was not a great one. Hopefully this one turns out to be a little bit better, but so far, from what I can tell, it's not looking too solid. But fortunately, we don't really rely on our drafts anymore, as our team is pretty well built out, so it's kind of gravy on top if we can find some solid players in the draft, but we'll have to look and see what happens at the end of the season. Now, before we go, I do have one important thing to note here. Obviously, if you've noticed yesterday, I did not have a video up, as this one's going up on a Tuesday, and big reason for that, and that is, well, I mean, just basically life. Had some changes and some things kind of moving around, which ultimately are not giving me as much time to be able to produce content, to be able to make these videos. So unfortunately, I am going to have to cut even more than I already did. Now, the Jets series just kind of coincidentally ended recently, but that was for very different reasons. That was just frustration with that series. But I also had the 2 series going in MLB 17, the Road to the Show and the Tigers franchise, which both are relatively new. But unfortunately, I'm going to have to stop them. And most of the reason why is because I want to make sure that this Madden franchise continues. I don't have the time to be able to produce 5 to 6 videos a week. This Bears franchise, I'm still going to try and get 3 to 4 videos out per week if possible. I want to at least make it through the rest of this current season, but hopefully can make it a little bit farther than that. But with MLB, the Road to the Show videos were pretty easy to kind of crank out. It's pretty quick to play those games and then to cut the videos for those. The Tigers franchise is a bit more time consuming. It takes much longer to play the games. I was playing 1 game per series. It takes a lot longer to play those games, and then it takes a little bit longer to edit them and put them together after the fact. So unfortunately, and I don't know, maybe if things change, I'll say not necessarily going to end those 2 series, but going to put them on hiatus, and we'll see what happens. But I want to make sure the Bears series continues. This is the most enjoyable series I have on my channel. Always has been. The Madden franchise is always the most fun to play, and I feel the most entertaining. So we're going to keep that going. I don't know exactly the schedule that I'm going to release these videos, whether I'm going to try and do it Monday, Wednesday, Friday at least, and if I can get an extra one done each week, I will do that. Otherwise, if I do miss a day, like a Monday, Wednesday, Friday, then you can expect a video on a Tuesday or Thursday, or maybe even one on the weekend, depending on how the week plays out. So that's the update. Bears franchise going nowhere. Next time, Week 9 against the Packers. We start the second half of the season in desperate need of a win. This would be a nice statement to make if we can take down the Packers, as we have Dudley back. We'll see if he can continue his hot play from last week against the Raiders, and we'll see if we can get ourselves back up alone at the top of the NFC North. So that's going to be it for this one. If you enjoyed it, please go to give it a like. I'd really appreciate it. And subscribe to see any future videos that I make. As always, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.